In a world with only hot takes,
Two college friends try to cool down sports media.
join Jack and Jared every week as they tackle the biggest stories in the NFL.
And give the reasonable football analysis you won't hear anywhere else.
Welcome to 710 Sports.
Welcome back to episode 40 of 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. Welcome back in between week 2 and week 3 of the NFL season. You heard our reaction Sunday. Now we've got some in-depth analysis on who are the best and worst 2-0 teams in the league. We've got our week 3 picks as well as what happened with our week 2 picks. And we've also got who can't afford to lose in week 3. Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Definitely. I feel like a decent number of teams who can't afford to lose. I think it's definitely a big week with how some of the cards have broken out. I think it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, so we can just jump right in and start to get into our analysis for week 3. Make sure that if you haven't already to like and subscribe so you see all our videos and our full podcast on YouTube, as well as we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But first, let's get right into this. Going into week 3, we've got the Pats, the Chargers, the Broncos, Bengals, Texans, Cardinals, Vikings, Bears, and Panthers, all 0-2. I think that's a good bucket of teams who really can't afford to lose. So who, of all those teams, who would be sort of number one on the list of, they cannot start the season 0-3. It would be a massive panic. It would be a serious problem for that franchise, for that team. What do you think, Jack? Who would be on the top of your list?
Now there's some that I bet you're going to get to, so I'll hold off on those for now. I'm going to go with what I always talk about. We'll probably talk about them later, and that's the Patriots. But there's a reason. There's more than just, I don't want Patriots to lose. Right? There's two reasons. For one thing, Patriots haven't lost to the Jets in 7 years, I believe. It's 14 straight games. The Patriots have not lost to the Jets, and the Jets have not made it to the playoffs, I don't think, in that long, so it's not like one of those a playoff loss. They have not lost to the Jets in that long. Losing to the Jets when you're already down 0-2, when you're already winless, that's bad juju. You don't want that happening. That, and then added to the fact, week 4 they're playing the Cowboys, and I like we'll over the season we'll talk about the Cowboys. We'll have to analyze how are they the best 2-0 team or the worst 2-0 team. Like we'll talk about that, but almost nothing could happen in week 3 that will make me not pick the Cowboys in week 4.
Mm-hmm.
Even give me, knock on wood that doesn't happen. Give me Micah Parsons injured. I still call the Cowboys. Give me Micah and Dak injured. I think I still take the Cowboys just based on how the Patriots. I might. Yeah, I'm beginning to. I mean, wait, is Cooper Rush? Depends if they've got the Coop. If they've got Cooper Rush, if it's Trey Lance, well then I'd take him. If it's Trey Lance starting, I wouldn't go that far. But hey, I don't have a lot of. I mean, we'll let the see of course season. I'm not going to rag on this for too long right now. But I think they're going to lose week 4 unless tragic injuries happen. I think they're going to lose week 4. If they lose to the Jets, not only do they have that first Patriots team to lose to the Jets in 7 years, not only do they have that, they also are going to probably go 0-4 because they're going to play the Cowboys. Then they have some gimmies, but then you're starting the season 0-4, and you've broken this big long time winning record against a team without their starting quarterback.
Right.
So that's why I picked them.
Yeah, listen, Jack, you took the words right out of my mouth. All right, the number one team on my list of teams who can't afford to lose in week 3 is absolutely the New England Patriots, okay? First of all, it doesn't seem like this is, and we've talked about this last year, and we've kind of discussed this kind of off podcast, but this Patriots team is not the same as they used to be. That identity and that culture of do your job, don't make mistakes, let the other team make the mistakes, we'll win plenty of games like that. It's now the exact opposite. This team backwards laterals for some reason in tight spots. They turn the ball over. They're penalized. They don't look sharp. The only part of the culture and identity that's still intact is that the defense is pretty good. Definitely top 10, maybe top 5. But outside of that, it seems like the Patriots are just they're kind of spiraling, right? And then, as you said, if they go in, they've already started the season 0-2. They go in and they lose to the Jets for the first time. They go 0-3, probably 0-4. Listen, something's got to change up there, right? Something serious has to change up because besides the defense, the team doesn't really look top to bottom like it used to. It's just not the same, right? So they're definitely number one on my list. I'm going to go to another team who can't afford to lose, the Denver Broncos. All right, everyone knows who follows this podcast. True. I love ragging on the Broncos. Okay, but listen, you've got one of the maybe all-time worst trades and contracts for Russell Wilson ever. Currently, it's actually only the second worst QB contract in the league because the Browns decided to give Deshaun Watson $250 million guaranteed and gave up picks to be able to do so. If you took out that, actually maybe the worst deal in sports history, this would be the worst contract in the league right now. And Russell Wilson actually hasn't played that bad, but they've lost to the Raiders and the Washington Commanders, and they've started 0-2. They brought in as backup Sean Payton to fix.
They traded a first-round pick.
They traded a first-round pick,
not just brought him in
to come in and fix Russell Wilson, right? But because Sean Payton is some QB guru, because he maybe won some games with Taysom Hill, and I could make the argument that Sean Payton's career is a lot more like Mike McCarthy, who widely understood as a big dummy, than he is to an actual Hall of Famer coach like someone like Andy Reid, right? Sean Payton's got one Super Bowl with a great quarterback and a lot of playoff losses with him after that. So we think that he's going to come in here and fix Russell Wilson. I don't think so. Something's got to give. Sean Payton just came in. This is Russell's second year. Can they bench him? Can they trade him? I don't know if the contract's even movable. They got to win. And the thing is, they're not going to because they're playing the Dolphins. So we got problems in Denver. What do you got, Jack?
Yeah, I got the 2-for-1 special here because they're playing each other. Right. Which still gives another good answer to you. But the 2-for-1 special, Chargers and the Vikings. Both of these teams. I mean, maybe the Vikings less so because they've got lower, but they still made it to the playoffs last year. But the Chargers definitely starting 0-2. Justin Herbert's still playing pretty well, and I'm not some Justin Herbert fanatic. I know neither of us are, like some people are. But like something with Staley, something's got to give there, right? To start 0-2 like this in two. Sort of winnable games, not games like the game that they could have easily won against the Chargers, and then losing last week to the Titans. Was it? I think I called them to make the playoffs, but they gave Ryan Tannehill the best game of his career, maybe best game in some number of years.
Yeah.
Like the completion percentage wise. That's not the chart. The Chargers have to figure something out. And on defense, I thought Staley was supposed to be a defensive-minded guy. Their defense is terrible. They got to do something, and I think it'll be tough. We'll get to some picks, but I think it'll be tough against the Vikings. I think the Vikings also need to win because they're now also starting 0-2. I think maybe less so because maybe they put up better performances. They almost maybe beat the Eagles, but it still is tough for a team that 13 wins or something, made it to the playoffs last year. You don't want to start 0-3. But maybe less so for them. I'm thinking more for the Chargers. But.
Yeah, I agree it's more for the Chargers, but it's an excellent call out that this is the can't afford to lose game, right? And someone's going to, unless it's a tie. That's arguably worse. But for Chargers, I'll start there. I think that the next head coach is already in the door. They should have fired Staley last year, and especially after the playoff debacle against the Jaguars. And they didn't, but they went ahead and they paid Kellen Moore to come in. And frankly, the offense has looked pretty good. Justin Herbert has looked pretty good. The problem is they're giving up all these points on defense. And yeah, like you said, Staley's the defensive guy. I'm not sure how early is too early to fire your head coach, but if Moore is already in the building, it feels like this is ripe for a head coaching change right now.
That's a good point.
And I have to say, and something's got to change because are we going to see another franchise quarterback / great quarterback for the Chargers basically waste their career in LA/San Diego. And how long before Herbert, I know he just got his big contract, but how long before he says, you know what, I want a trade, like Deshaun Watson forced his way out of Houston. Why can't I force myself out of LA and this team and this mess of the Chargers? So I definitely agree with you there. In terms of the Vikings, yeah, I mean, it's a mess over there as well. But the offenses look good, and Kirk Cousins has played pretty decent. I think that they could still possibly salvage a little bit. Their turnovers have been massive. They have the most turnovers, or the worst turnover differential in the league over 2 games. I think some of that might even out. We'll talk about who we're taking in our pick segment, but that's definitely a team who they both can't afford to lose. Do you have any more, Jack?
No, I don't want to spend too long on this segment, but I mean the Bengals. It's tough for the Bengals to start 0-3 and it in that division where the Ravens, right, with the Ravens being in it, and in the AFC, and the Ravens are probably going to be 3-0. Who are they playing? They're playing the Colts. Ravens are playing the Colts. Yeah. The spoiler alert. We're going to take the Ravens on that.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens are going to be 3-0. And then if the Bengals start 0-3, that's a really tough deficit to climb out of, I feel like, in division, including when Ravens, right, have already beat you once.
Right. And
I think it's tough.
It's fair, and I think that if people think that the Bengals are some sort of serious Super Bowl contender, then they should be worried and saying that they can't afford to lose. But would Joe Burrow hurt, and how I felt about the Bengals coming in, it's just something. This is what I expected. Go back and watch the tape, guys. 710 Sports was on this before anybody. So that's the teams who can't afford to lose. What can I say? Don't lose this weekend. Some of you are definitely going to. You heard it here first. Let's jump to
hot take.
Let's jump to our second segment here. We got plenty of 2-0 teams as well. I believe that there's 9 2-0 teams in the league heading into week 3. We've got the Dolphins, Ravens, Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, 49ers, Falcons, Saints, Bucks. So heavily into the NFC, there's only 2 AFC teams who are 2-0, the Dolphins and the Ravens. So we're going to talk about who we think is the best 2-0 team and who we think is the worst 2-0 team. Jack, do you want to start with who you think is the best 2-0 team?
Yeah, I'll start with that, and I'm gonna go with the time-honored classic, right? Maybe it's the low-hanging fruit, and that's the 49ers. I'm gonna take the 49ers. They started losing some points to the Rams late, but I think the Rams are a half decent team, But the 49ers have pretty much looked like they're right, like have pretty much stayed in stride. It feels like maybe Brock Purdy had a slightly tougher game last week against the Rams as opposed to other games, but it's not like it was bad, like it wasn't terrible. They won. Christian McCaffrey is still playing great. Like the team is still playing like they were last year. And last year, I think I called them to win the Super Bowl. So if they're still playing like they were then, I'm going to take them as the best 2-0 team. There are definitely other good 2-0 teams, but I'm going to have to stick with that for now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I think that the 49ers are also the best 2-0 team. But if you look at the NFC, I think that Dallas has a better defense. And some people will say that they're better overall, but the skilled players that the 49ers have in their offense, I definitely trust more than Dallas's offense. I say that as a Dallas Cowboys diehard fan. So I think the 49ers are probably the best 2-0 team, but it's hard to argue with what the Miami Dolphins are doing right now. They've played the Chargers and the Pats. So, I would say 2 non-playoff teams, but not the worst teams in the league. These are teams that plenty of people have had going into the playoffs. Maybe not the Patriots, but the Chargers certainly.
Some analysts did.
But they're easily the best offense in the league. They're scoring the most points. They have the most yards. And on offense, I should say. Most points on offense, I should say. And they have just like an average defense, but nothing atrocious. It's kind of right in the middle of the pack. And I like them pretty much against anyone, including the 49ers, because I don't know if I trust the 49ers defense to be able to stop what they're doing in the pass game with Miami. So if those guys had to go head-to-head, Man, that would be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
So I definitely would say that it's got to be the 49ers or the Dolphins. What do you got for the worst 2-0 team, Jack?
The worst 2-0 team. Well, not going to be in the AFC because I don't think the Ravens are definitely a better 2-0 team than any of the other. And even though I'm a Dolphins hater, there are some clearly worse 2-0 teams in the NFC. I'll be honest here. I'm gonna. It's almost like you got to take your pick of the litter here a bit, but I'm gonna have to go. I think with the Saints, and I'm gonna go with the Saints because. No, you know what? No. I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I like Baker baking. I like some of the defensive pieces. Mike Evans. I've got they definitely still have some pieces, but I think the Commanders. I think the Commanders have beat some better teams there. Wait, no, they beat the Broncos. God,
they beat Arizona and the Broncos.
Yeah, that's actually tough. That's actually tough. The Bucks beat the Bears and
the Vikings.
Who did the Bucks and the Vikings? You know what? I like that. Now, sudden change, Commanders. You gotta take the. At that point, just the teams that they've barely beat those two teams. They barely beat two bad teams.
Bad teams. Oh yeah.
The Cardinals being barely beat the Cardinals, and then had that miraculous comeback against the Broncos that almost wasn't a comeback, right? They went for a 2-point conversion. There was a PI, big massive PI on the 2-point conversion. That wasn't called, whatever. But they barely won that game too against two not good teams. The Saints, they'll beat, say, the Titans, who I think are half decent. The Bucks, there you go, beat the Vikings. I think the Vikings are half decent, even if they are winless. I think it's better than either of the teams Commanders beat. I think I got to go with the Commanders being the worst then. I mean, I like pieces. I think I called them to make the playoffs this year, I think, in our playoff picks. But, I mean, even though they're 2-0, it's not impressing me.
Oh, they've looked bad. And their defense is pretty solid, but they gave up quite a bit to the Broncos and Russell Wilson. So, there's that. They gave up 33 to that team. And they were down big. It took that comeback and, basically a failed 2-point conversion against them. I forgot about all this. Yeah. And then the Cardinals game was a last-second drive at the end as well, and the Cardinals were beating them the entire game. So they really should be 0-2. They're 2-0. They're the worst. Yeah. But like you said, pick of the litter. Take someone in the NFC South. I mean, none of these teams are good, and people like the Saints. I think Saints have the 5th best odds to go to the Super Bowl. Defense. Their defense, people say their defense is solid. I guess they've been playing good going back in the last year. They have some pieces. They have some defensive, they have some big pieces on that defense. They just couldn't. They would have had TJ Gardner-Johnson. They had to trade him for a 4th the last season or the season before or something because they're in cap hell. So, but they still have some decent pieces there. I do want to see it more than just the first 2 weeks. People are saying back to last season, but no one was watching the Saints. I mean, I wasn't at the end of last season. So there's the last 10 games or whatever, the Saints defense is one of the best. Okay. All right. But let's just see them not playing against the Titans and the Panthers. That's what I want to see. Michael
Thomas is back.
Well, here's the thing. Michael Thomas and Olave are there, and Derek Carr is supposed to be
Taysom Hill is an offensive weapon. Okay.
Yeah,
he's an offensive weapon. Pair him with two great receivers. Derek Carr is an average quarterback, I would say.
He's supposed to be the best in that division, and he was supposed to be an upgrade. Here's the thing. The Saints, by far, of all the 2-0 teams, are scoring the lowest amount of points per game. They're scoring 18 points a game. All right? Tough. And the fact of the matter is, I saw Jarrett Stidham go into that Raiders offense last year and play it pretty good, right? And so why do we think Derek Carr, who got benched over there, is going to do something for the Saints for this offense? I don't understand it. So I would put them on notice as well. And I don't like the Falcons, the QB situation either. So let's not, you know what I mean? But go ahead.
I like the Falcons. No, I just saw another piece, not to jump on the Saints hype train here, but you got to keep in mind they're also missing Alvin Kamara. Is out. He's got one of the most. Player with one of the most 5 or 6. He's got a 6 touchdown game in his history.
Yeah,
pretty good running back. Only 28 years old, even though he's been in the league for a bit. You know, he's going to be out. He's going to be back in at some point. I know he's suspended for some amount of time. I'm trying to research this live and while recording, but I think he's going to be back at some point this season. 3 games, so he's gonna be out this game. He's out. He's in week 4. I gotta think they're just like that's boom. Add to this team. Team's got a decent amount of offensive talent there with Olave, Michael Thomas, Taysom Hill, Derek Carr.
Hey,
Alvin
listen.
Kamara. That's
On paper,
decent
I agree. It
skill
all looks
positions.
great.
Hey,
I
top
took
10
them.
defense, huh?
I took them to win this division going into the
Oh
season.
yeah, you did. That's right. You did.
But if you watch the games, I think that the Falcons and the Bucks have both looked better than them. I just from watching, now maybe that's not true. Maybe the Saints haven't hit their full potential. I would hope not, because I picked them to win the division. But so I bought really low, and if the stock's rising, I honestly I'm thinking about selling. But if you want to jump on that train, go right ahead. I'm a little nervous. I'm holding. I'm holding right now, but I'm nervous.
Safe move.
Yeah,
safe move.
All right, well let's switch up gears here a little bit. Let's just jump into how we did on our week 2 picks, and then we'll jump into our week 3 picks. Go ahead and looking at the week 2 pick graphic here. A lot of green. We had a lot of agreement, and the upsets we kind of both ate there with the Green Bay Falcons beating Green Bay, Titans beating Chargers, Seahawks beating Lions, which I should have taken the Seahawks. But I do want to say that in that 4 o'clock hour, man, I was feeling real good. Arizona was up big. I took them. Broncos were up big. I took them. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to look real good. I might lose only a couple of games. And then all of a sudden, the NFC beast appears and rears its ugly head or heads. And I end up losing both those games, whereas you picked the NFC beast impressively.
Can I say?
Any thoughts, Jack, on the week 2 picks?
Yeah, I mean, week 2 picks. Yeah, I should have went with my heart more, not my gut, but I should have went with my heart more by picking the Falcons to win, because my heart was telling me that, but my gut was telling me Packers. Shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I mean, Ravens beating Bengals. That, I mean, tough loss. Great pick by you. Not great pick by me. There's not really much else I can say there. Browns. I think the Browns would have won if Nick Chubb didn't face the sort of horrific injury he faced.
Right.
That also, I think, for me, just takes him with how Deshaun Watson, with how he's playing. Take him out of. I'm taking the Browns out of any. Not that they were really in my equation, but they're super out of it without Nick Chubb. Yeah, they're gonna have Kareem Hunt.
That was a mess of a game. I'll tell you what. That
was a gross game. I watched like most of it, and it was so long. They had to like restart. They started the second quarter twice, because they started the second quarter, but then there was actually a challenge to a play, and something else happened. It was just chaos. That was just a chaotic game. Steelers offense. I know I texted you. Pats have a bottom 5 offense. Well, apparently not with how the Steelers are playing. This Steelers offense is
someone
else.
took the Steelers to get into the playoffs, and that was a bad choice.
But they won. That defense played well. Last pick I'll mention is the Patriots Dolphins. Patriots Dolphins. I gotta mention. I'm gonna read through. There's 2 ways to think about the Patriots. Here we go. I'm gonna read my pseudo monologue now. I'm not gonna. There's gonna be more on this when we pick the next week. But I'm going to read my pseudo monologue. That's it. There's 2 ways to look at this. You can be me after week 1. You can be like many Patriots fans, and you can look at this as it's a 1-score loss to a bona fide playoff team, right? It's a 1-score. The Dolphins were a playoff team last year. Going to be a playoff team this year. You could think of it that way, and you could look at this as another moral victory. Gotta love the moral dubs, and you could look at it like that, and you could just say yes. Thank you, Bill. I really wanted another 8-9 season. I want another 9-8 season and narrowly missed the playoffs, right? You can say that. Or you can look at this as it's yet again the Patriots being given opportunities by the defense, by, I think in many cases, the Dolphins playing poorly. You can given these opportunities and squandering them. Let's look at some drives. I'm not even talking about the Eagles game. We're going to look at some drives. And I'm going to tell you, Jared, these are drives the Patriots scored 0 points on. You got to keep this in mind. Okay. They had a 1st and 10. They had a 1st and 10 on the Miami 43. They had a 3rd and 8 at the Miami 39, which was actually a 1st and 10 at the Miami 29, but there was a fumble. So they fumbled. But either way, they could have had, if he went down right away, 1st and 10 at the Miami 29. They had a 2nd and 1 at the Miami 42. They had a 1st and 10 at the Miami 22. And then, of course, the final drive, they had a 4th and 4 at the Miami 33. We'll count that. That's the final drive. Count that out. All of those drives, 0 points. That's a 1st and 10 at the 22 and a 2nd and 1 at the 42. 0 points. 1st and 10 at the 43. Big fat 0 points. That fumble, even that fumble, if he didn't fumble, would have been a 1st and 10 at the Miami 20. All these drives, no points. They just cannot score. The same thing happened in the Eagles game. They're getting to the 40-yard line or past it of Miami, or against the Eagles. This happened a ton. And then they just don't score. They just get no points. There's just so many points left on the table that they keep doing. And of course, that's turnovers. That's all sorts of stuff. But that as well as, say, that final drive, both games, they had an opportunity for a final drive to seal the game. But it's like they're anti-clutch. It's like they can't score points situationally. Suddenly, they can have a miraculous third quarter, amazing drive. Mac Jones looks like peak Tom Brady. Devontae Parker looks like peak Randy Moss. It's like, oh my Lord. They have those moments, but it's like they have them at the most meaningless times. It's like they have these amazing drives when they're out of the game, and then they do it just to get back in it, and then don't do it when it counts.
Well,
and happened.
Part of that might
again.
be that the defense schemes differently once there's kind of a lead, and they kind of get into a little bit more of a prevent layoff defense, and they give Mac that underneath, 8-yard out route. They give him the 4-yard across the field, turns into a 15-yard run. And so suddenly the offense is like, oh, this offense can produce, but it really can't, because when they tighten up at the 40-yard line, ship is sailed. So
yes, that's a great analysis.
We'll see if you pick the Patriots this week. We are gonna go to quickly, just as a summary. I went 11-5. Really should have went better if some of those teams didn't give it up late. Jack went 10-6. Jack's leading on the season, 21-11 versus me, one game behind, 20-12. Let's go to our week 3 picks. Off the bat, you're gonna see.
Very few differences.
Yeah, a whole lot in agreements here. We'll kind of hit on, I guess, this sort of can't afford to lose game that we were talking about earlier in the podcast. Vikings, Chargers. You've got Vikings here. I'll say why I had the Chargers here. I'd like to think that on defense they have better skill players. This is 2 offensive teams, so we would expect high scoring, but I want to say that the Chargers will make some plays, even though I know that this is probably a mistake. Chargers going to charge. But I just think that hopefully they will make more plays than the Vikings defense. And I think that both the offenses will play well and score well. And one of these QBs is going to have another great game and lose. What do you think, Jack? Why Vikings?
Yeah. I think it's a great point. And I do think the Chargers have more, you could say, star players on defense. It is almost miraculous. They must have a terrible supporting cast on defense outside of their more star-like positions. That must be the answer. Or J.C. Jackson is just a complete, Patriots system player and was fully a fraud, or whatever it all is, which that's probably the case. But whatever it is, they do have more defensive star power. I think for me, this boils down to the fact that I think the Chargers could triple cover Justin Jefferson, and I don't think it's going to matter this game. I guess that's what it comes down to, because the Vikings even have other options. They have Jordan Addison, who was drafted first round, I think, who played pretty well last week, all things considered, against the Eagles, I believe. I believe he played well. I know they played the Eagles. And Hawkinson from the Lions. They have even decent picks. If they want to stop Justin Jefferson, they will have to triple cover him. He's not. He's going to beat a Chargers double cover. Other teams could double cover him, contain him, maybe, but a Chargers double coverage won't be enough. I think that the Vikings will just be that little bit better on offense, even if Justin Herbert's a better quarterback. But even if he's a better quarterback, I think that the Vikings just are gonna be more dominant on offense.
Fair.
Like I think it's gonna be an offensive game. definitely looking at these two teams. If this is a defensive battle, that would be shocking. But I just think the Vikings will have that little bit extra in the pass game that's going to really like set it over the edge. I think there's going to be that little bit much better in the pass game, and that's my sort of thought on this.
Lowest spread of the weekend, Vikings are +1, so that's the first 1
Vegas
point
does
spread.
not know.
It's basically
They do
a
not
pick
know what to do with this.
maybe last team to
Yeah.
have the ball. A lot of close
Yeah.
spreads, a lot of large spreads as well. It's kind of going to be. It looks like it might be blowout games and great games, but right now we've got Green Bay is a 2-point favorite against the Saints, so that should be a good game.
Yeah.
We
Hey,
both got the
I
Green Bay
almost-
Packers.
I was talking about the Saints almost about to make me swap my pick. I'm not, but almost.
Remember the
Saints are
Falcons
getting-
last week against the Packers?
I know, against the Packers. That'd be Jordan Love doubt. I'm not ready to doubt Jordan Love yet though. Even if last game they didn't do as much. They got a lot of touchdowns, but I'm not ready for that. Switching the pick would be official Jordan Love doubt. I'm not gonna go there yet.
Fair enough. After the Monday night debacle, the Raiders are actually favored by 2.5 against the Steelers. I'm going to go ahead and take Steelers as a dog, which is probably a mistake, but they did me well last week somehow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take them again and ride with that one. But you got the Raiders. You like Jimmy
I
G?
got the Raiders. Yeah, I like Jimmy G. I mean, I like the Raiders. Him, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams. Clearly, like I know that's 3 players on the entire team. I've just named. I think Max Crosby, and I think did they draft Tyree Wilson? I think at the draft, the rookie edge rusher, I believe. Either way, I think Max Crosby is going to feast. Considering just the state of the Steelers' offensive line and offense. I think there's that, but I mean, I think it's really for me comes down to doubt on the Steelers' offense more than anything else, because I think the Raiders will put up some points. They have enough there to put up some points, and the Steelers' offense is bad enough. I think they're going to turn the ball over, even if it's against a not that good defense. I just think it's going to happen based on what that team's like. So I mean, it's more Steelers doubt than Raiders belief, but that Steelers defense is great, right? So it is definitely possible they could take over the game like they did last week. Definitely a possibility. I think it being a close spread would make sense.
Fair,
and I
fair
definitely
enough.
get you picking them.
And finally, we'll wrap this up with obviously the Patriots and the Jets. I'm going to say at the top of this that this is the final pick I'm making for the Patriots. That is purely based off of growing up watching the Patriots my entire life and knowing that they should win this game easily because they beat the Jets 7 times in a row. Because it's Zach Wilson, a bad QB.
It's actually 14 times in a row. It's 7 years in a row.
7 years in a row. My bad. 7 years in a row, 14 times in a row. God, like we were in high school. Were we in middle school? No, we were in
middle.
early high school.
We were in early high school. Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. But this is it. If they lose this, because on paper, if it wasn't the Patriots and if it was just some nameless, faceless team, I'd say, well, the Jets' defense is better than this nameless, faceless team's defense, in my opinion. And the
Zach
offense,
Wilson to Garrett Wilson's a good connection.
And the offense is a toss-up. I mean, like, we really think that the Patriots' offense is so much better than whatever the Jets are doing with Zach Wilson. I think that's a toss-up. So my brain tells me to say the Jets, but my gut says the Patriots will definitely find a way to win this game. But if they don't, like we said, I'm done. It's over. Just the siren should be up, the alarm should be going. You know what I mean?
And almost similarly, I have a similar thing, but actually, I'm not even going this week and saying this week is my last X. Last week was my last homer take, my last, pure fan faith take. I've got a new way to analyze this. To analyze the rest of the season, I'm going to do this. Actually, this is actually literally every week. You'll get to tune in, and I'll do this analysis. I look at the Jets, for example. Are the Jets a playoff team? Do I think the Jets are going to be 500? If the answer is yes, I'm not picking the Patriots. I'm not. If the answer is no, then I'll pick the Patriots. If it's Patriots Texans, which isn't going to happen this season, but if it was Texans, not a playoff team, not picking them. But maybe perhaps Chargers. Well, Chargers might go 9-8. That's above 500. I might have to pick the Chargers. We'll have to see, of course, as the season progresses. We have to see.
Sure.
My opinions on other teams will vary, but my opinion, I'm not going to look at the Patriots' performance. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the opponents. What's going to happen there? And in this case, the Jets. I don't know where the Jets are going to land. Depends on Zach Wilson's talent. But this is my last vestige of days past, and that's that Patriots 14 game win streak. I think that compared to the fact that the Jets, I think will probably be under 500. I think they might go 8-9, perhaps. That like those two things combined, it being close there, but the Patriots having that win record means I gotta still go with the Patriots. But if it wasn't for that win record, I'm not sure where I'd go. Again, if it was a faceless team, but this time it's the actually it's the same thing. If it's the Jets being faceless, then I'm not so sure. Then it's like, okay, when you have the history factor, makes me take the Patriots. But if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd take here. It's a toss up for me. If not,
listen, I want everyone to see this. In 2023, this Patriots fan creep slower and slower towards a Cowboys fan. Okay, and just the hopelessness creeping in, the fear that I don't even care how they play. I'm done analyzing them. It's over. All right, playoff team, no play, whatever. Pick them. Yes, no. I'll just listen. It's unbelievable to watch. I've only known the hopelessness. All right, I've only ever known it. Now
you were born in it.
I was literally born in it. Yes, and so it's just interesting.
It's the fact that this feels like a rerun. So these games feel like reruns of games last year. Like so much. It's from having watched every game I think last year, like fully, like start to finish, watching the first games this year. These games are feeling like reruns. It's hard for me not to pick. Yes, there are improvements. There's stuff different. It's not literally the same, but it feels like a rerun to me of last season. And last season they went 8-9.
If you're interested in what it, going from a fan of a dynasty to a fan of a mid/bad team is, if you're interested in the psychological effects that puts on a person's mind, make sure that you like and subscribe to 710 Sports. You're going to get to see that all season as the Patriots continue to collapse as a franchise. Maybe even into a head coach firing. We'll see. But that's our Week 3 picks. That's our Week 3 podcast. Like I said, if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll be back Sunday for reactions live to the afternoon and evening games. So make sure you stay tuned and look for that, because we're going to be giving you just basically raw what we saw that day.
Right away.
And so we're trying to be first to it. So definitely catch us for that. Jack, you have anything before we close this off?
Nope. No, not really.
All right. Well, there you go. Catch us Sunday. Thanks for watching. And this is 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. Thanks for watching.